Tristan with Nerdette's NewsStand, and I apologize for the late upload. There is a lot to go through today. Amber had 7 witness statements and all of her questioning today. So we are starting week 3, which is day 10 of the trial, and it is the first day with Amber in the witness stand. Now she is scheduled for nearly 3 days to be cross-examined and then by David Sherborne on behalf of Johnny Depp, and then she will have a re-examination from Sasha West. So as far as the metadata, we expected some answers this morning and still have none. The submission from Johnny Depp's side have to be completed by 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, which will give the Sun till 1 p.m. to respond, and then the judge is going to make his decisions shortly thereafter. So we should know something by this time tomorrow. But today was absolutely insane. I am going to fly through it. There is a lot. I apologize if this gets lengthy or if I mess up my words. I am sorry. I do try my best. So, oh, what an insane, absolutely insane day. Mr. Wolanski for the Sun also did raise an issue, I guess, saying that Adam Waldman had threatening tweets because he posted an article, and then on top of it would put in memorandum, like when it came to Amanda de Cabernet. Now, these were threatening, right? Well, no, they weren't. They were dismissed because it was ridiculous. But also come to find out, we talked about Laura DuVernay last week, who was recorded secretly by Amber Heard, and we heard that on Friday, right? So it felt like for a while there she was playing both sides. She was trying to make both sides happy. Well, she was trying to protect herself by sticking up for Amber, because now it's been brought to light and come to find out she is employed by Elon Musk. So very strange that they would allow this. So now we get into Amber on the stand. And they do have to replace the barrister, which is very weird to me, right? David Sherborne is male. So now we have Miss Laws, who I've never heard of this before. Her having to be questioned by a female, but hey, I don't know near as much about UK law, and I never pretend to be a lawyer. So she within minutes was caught in a lie. Like, that's going to be the theme this week. Is last week it was drugs, right? So this is going to be, another lie they caught her in. She did say that Johnny never asked her for a prenup to sign, and then, she says that never happened, right? Well, come to find out, they have an email from January 27th, over a week before their wedding, in discussing the prenup. Like, I think they're just trying to show her pattern of behavior, right? So it said, Amber, and this was also in the email, it said, Amber and Johnny have been fighting nonstop since he asked her to sign the prenup. This was actually from her psychologist, and we're going to talk a lot about medical records too. But she said she would have signed anything. Of course she would. But it was Johnny and his sister Christy that wanted it. And even before they were married, she alleges that, Johnny said the only way out, meaning to get away from him, is death. And a lot of headlines are running with this. She said it in a very passive way, and there are a lot of ways I'm going to show, to indicate that she's lying, but yeah, the only way out away from Johnny was death, apparently. So another thing I noticed, and it's because the judge had to stop her multiple times, right? She's giving a lot of information, too much information, trying to anticipate the next question. And if you look it up, one of the clear signs of lying is overindulgence, overdoing it, giving a lot of details. And that's exactly what she does, time and time and time again. So the next lie has to deal with their drug use. She's saying she never ever, took coke after her 18th birthday or in front of Johnny, and hardly ever used illegal drugs. That changes, but and it's immediately alleged with notes from her doctor's office. I want to be very clear. These are coming from the RN that saw her at her medical facility. She denies her whole entire medical history, literally everything, from the history from Dr. Kipper saying she has an eating disorder, that she has anxiety, ADHD. She denied being bipolar and said, that Dr. Kipper lied. She keeps going, well, I don't want to call anybody a liar. Well, that's exactly what you're doing. So that's the word we're going to use. She says her medical history is wrong. The complete thing is wrong. And she only ever did drugs at Coachella. There's also a file from Dr. Kipper asking why she participated in mushrooms at the Bahamas and MDMA in Australia. But of course, Dr. Kipper and his nurses are lying, right? So, multiple medical professionals are lying about her drug use, apparently. I guess so. She also said that Johnny took her Mustang and was getting it fixed, right? Fixed as a gift for 3.5 years or longer, right? As a gift. And she said he did this, so she had to depend on him and a driver. Said it was Johnny's way of constantly watching her and being extremely controlling. Right. Nobody gets a car fixed for nearly 4 years. So, to make a long, convoluted story short, she denied that she ever had an employee in the U.S. by the name of Samantha McMillan, and was not, she was not working for her in the U.S. They were just companions then, only in the U.K. But there is signed letters from Homeland Security saying that she was there. Now, we did see this former employee last week. There was also emails about different work assignments in the U.S. and paycheck stubs saying otherwise. So Amber claims they were loans. Every time she paid her, weekly, they were loans. And she was just a friend, a companion. Even though they proved, she worked for her, not only on Magic Mike, but Adderall Diaries. Also, during the dog issue we talked about last week, with the legality of them in Australia, she signed an affidavit saying that Samantha worked for her, but, apparently that's a lie, too. So, it's to the point where she's saying, the Eleanor Laws, which is the person representing Johnny, Eleanor Laws, is saying straight to her face, these are complete lies, aren't they? Like, it's pretty bad when they get mad at you. So, Amber says she has no problem with her temper, and it was only because of how Johnny acted. Now, I actually urge you to look through some of especially the later half of this documentation, because it's insane. I'm not kidding. Making heads of tails of her lies are insane. That her rage, her insecurities were all Johnny Depp's fault. Everything is going to be his fault and everyone's going to lie, right? That the nurse's medical notes were only right, not even kidding, the nurse's medical notes were only right when they were helpful to her case. So, she called every single witness we've seen thus far, 2 weeks, basically a liar, and tried to discredit them somehow. Everything she said, everything they said, everything was wrong, right? So, also, she said she was never violent, right? Only when she defended herself. So her violence was blamed then, again, on Johnny. So we're going to go to some audio recordings. And I know everybody's kind of been waiting for this. So the first audio is of her admitting to throwing pots and pans. And then again, her answer was, I was just defending myself to Johnny. And the next audio is the more famous one, right? It's where she admits, you were not punched, She goes through and say, I did not punch you, I hit you. Okay. Well, she said she only hit him. This is not a joke. This is the real story she told. She only hit him for his own good. Because he was throwing up nightly and would sleep in his vomit, and she didn't want him to aspirate, so, logical conclusion, punch someone in the face. Yep, that was her excuse. I cannot believe it. So then she claimed her violent self-defense, of course it was self-defense, was only with Johnny until they bring up the fact that she was arrested for domestic violence with her ex, Sasha Van Ree. And Amber Heard says, not even kidding. Here I go again. I keep feeling like I have to say I'm not kidding because these things are so ridiculous, right? Because of the officer's homophobic attitude, which is why she was arrested. And that Tasha Van Reet, she wasn't even upset. She didn't care about domestic violence. It's all good. So that's going to bring us to May 27, 2016. Now, this is their last big battle and, right before their divorce date. So the restraining order, right? We see the video of her leaving the courthouse and you can see the marks, right? It's pretty much implied or shown that she purposefully leaked information to this courthouse because it was, private. A restraining order, domestic violence, those things are private. So how would they know? Well, they wouldn't unless you get your publicist involved. So, and not only that, but the video that we've seen quite a while back on TMZ, she leaked that also. She also does get shown photos from the next day, so the 28th, right? And there is not a single mark on her cheek, not a single bruise, right? But, she says they're there, and she actually tries to be like, oh, I don't know when these pictures were taken. They must have been taken a day I was happy because I didn't leave the house, right? Okay, Amber. So she also mentions Officer Melissa Sains and all the witnesses who said they saw no marks on her May 21st or thereafter. They are all lying. Every single one of them. Both officers will get to that. But in the restraining order, she said she was petrified of him. It was her wording to get this temporary restraining order. She was petrified of him, but tried to contact him multiple times via phone and text before getting it. Before it being approved. So between the 21st and the 28th, she tried to contact him. And then, once it was approved, she even contacted him after getting this restraining order. She continued to contact him and even went to see him. They met up in real life in July. And that's when she claimed she didn't know the restraining order had been extended. Right. Okay, so it also came to light that she had been planning on leaving him since April, and so a month before this big last fight, and that this whole May 21st fight could have very easily been a setup. And the funny thing is there's a couple times where she says, I'm not smiling for any particular reason. Well, Miss Laws actually asked, why are you smiling? She keeps having to ask when they ask these questions. Like, she just doesn't have a good poker face at all. So, May 21st, 2016 fight where, allegedly JD threw the phone, is kind of convoluted. It's really hard to go through what she has to say and read. But, I'm not sure at this point how anyone can believe her. Her story changed, between now and between her divorce decree. There were different accounts of Rocky Pennington was there and now, or wasn't there before, and now she is. She also calls everyone that, a liar, including the lawyer questioning her, Mrs. Eleanor Laws. She calls her a liar to her face. Everyone. So she also puts words multiple times in the cop's mouth and then calls them liars for the words they actually did say. She says there was an insane amount of damage, right? Nobody else saw this damage. Nobody but her, Josh Drew, and Rocky Pennington saw this damage. No cops, no people that work in the building, no friends, nobody. She said that the male officer that was involved and came that night pointed to her face and said that she looked hurt. But his witness statement came out today and he said, no, there was no damage to the entire complex and she had no injury. Then she goes on to say, well, the cop lied for the media. The cop lied for the media. Okay. Another thing that was very weird about that day is she made a series of calls after the fights. And, of course, she called Rocky. And then she called her lawyer. And then, conveniently, she called her publicist. So, yeah, make heads or tails of that. But she said she never we go on to the photos a little bit before the ruling with the metadata tomorrow. But she says she never doctored any of the photos, never changed the hue, the saturation, anything, or conspired with Rocky Pennington or her fiance Josh Drew. So none of the photos were filtered. They were all pure, but there is spots where they show Mrs. Eleanor Law shows, look, you have a mark right here, and you say you went into another room, and now you have a mark here. Why is that mark here and not here? On the same day, the metadata I talked about last week shows it's the exact same time. It makes absolutely no sense. It's, again, because it's Maybelline, but oh my God, she's a mess. Like, I expected today to be a little bit more crazy, but I didn't expect this. I'm not even kidding. Like, reading this girl's words make me feel like I am living in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's that bad. She is straight up crazy. Anyways, she will be back on the stand tomorrow. That should be very interesting. And of course, I will be covering it, so make sure you are subscribed. And if you enjoy these videos, hit that like button. If you want to help support the channel, I have a Patreon subscribe star and join button. I hate saying those things. I apologize, but I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey guys, I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon and subscribe stars. You guys literally make this channel possible. Huge thank you to Cage the Mick, Robert Mick Twiz, Black Knight Fool, Brucey, Chris Z, David L, David Rafford, Jeffrey Allen Carnes, Mighty Balls, Mike Buckner, Maizen Barbosa, Ruskart, Ryan Decker, Robert Hoffman, and Doc Holliday. You guys are absolutely amazing, and thank you so much for all your support. Don't forget on the way out to like as always if you enjoy the content and hit subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.